I realized last night after recording this video on Wednesday that I left out possibly the two biggest current ongoing examples of frustration with the WWE. And then today I found out about the Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff thing. So I'm going to really quickly cover that and then give the two current examples and then just play the rest of the stuff that I said before. So the Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff thing. Very promising. Paul Heyman will be basically the showrunner for Raw, and Eric Bischoff will be the same for SmackDown. First of all, I think it's kind of weird, the placement, because I feel like Paul Heyman, with his more in-ring focused background, would be more suited to SmackDown, whereas Eric Bischoff, with his more entertainment-focused background, would be more suited to Raw. While I don't think they're poor fits on their respective brands, I think comparatively they would have been better switched up. I'm also tepidly excited because they still have to answer directly to Vince McMahon. They still have to run stuff by him. You'd assume they wouldn't take these positions, especially given the people that they are, without some assurance that Vince would be more lenient and more accepting than he usually is with those working under him coming to him with pictures. But you never know with Vince McMahon. Even if that is the case, that doesn't mean it will be the case in 6 months or whatever. So that's cool, but I'm not too excited yet. I'm interested. I plan on checking out Raw and SmackDown once they start actually implementing that, but not too excited. So the two examples I forgot yesterday. Shane McMahon won a tournament that he wasn't part of because The Miz got hurt against an exhausted Dolph Ziggler to become crowned the quote-unquote best in the world was idiotic. They played it off pretty well for a little bit in being a big old annoying, obnoxious heel jackass about it. And then his feud with The Miz has some really good promos attached to it, but the actual matches were kind of garbage, especially the WrestleMania blow-off match, especially considering we didn't even realize it was going to be a blow-off match because of how indecisive it felt. And now he's just been pushing himself into feuds that he doesn't need to be in. He pushed himself into the Drew McIntyre Roman Reigns feud recently, which to be fair wasn't all that exciting, but was gone from meh to actively annoying. The man is pushing 50 and he has wrestled more recently than he ever has in his life. The other one is Brock Lesnar, who basically held the Universal Championship hostage for a better part of 2 years, and now that he lost it, he immediately again inserted himself somewhere he wasn't supposed to be. This being even more baffling, he just went into a match wasn't part of, and if he was supposed to be a mystery seventh man or whatever, he clearly unfairly got to rest in the back until the end of the match while everyone else wrestled. He just went in, climbed up the ladder, snatched the briefcase while everyone else was already exhausted, aside from a couple people he had to shove aside. And now they've had this thing every week, will he cash in? And initially it was pulling in some views because people wanted to see if he would cash in and how it would go down. But now it hasn't anymore, because initially we were just curious about how it would happen, and now we just want it to end. We don't care, well, I think we care a little if he does cash in successfully, but we just want to get it over with. The biggest issue, in my opinion, is that the WWE thinks that we're actually interested in the storyline because we want to see Brock cash in, because we like Brock and we want to see him do a thing. But actually, we just want Brock to go away. We just want to stop hearing about him, and it feels like, because of how hard they're pushing Seth and Kofi, that he probably wouldn't win whatever he's cashing in for. So once he does that, we can forget about him and finally move on, which is what we're all waiting for. So anyway, here's the rest of the video. For a little background, I'd like everyone to know that I love WWE as a brand. I've been watching wrestling, aside from a couple years in my late teens, early 20s, where I thought I was too grown up for it, since 1995. I was born in 1991, so I've been watching wrestling for a long time. The thing with WWE that I feel like a lot of its current offenders don't understand is that most people trashing it don't want it to fail. We love WWE, we want it to succeed, but it does not seem to want to do that. The WWE is having record, or at least a long time since, attendance lows of a few thousand people at one of their big arena pay-per-views, and I believe it was 3,500 people at the Raw following that, which are usually the bigger Raws following pay-per-views. I'd like to give you some examples of frustrating stuff the WWE has done just in the last couple years. They took one of the best tag teams in the world in the Revival and booked them like jobbers, and now that they've expressed frustration over that, they're booking them like jokes. They had a pretty good feud with Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles that culminated in Shinsuke losing at WrestleMania and losing almost every match, and then having a pretty good US title stint before jobbing out, and Jinder Mahal went from being a jobber literally for a decade almost to WWE champion in matches against guys like Randy Orton and AJ Styles, two of the most prolific and successful wrestlers of all time. And then, once he lost the title, he went back to being a jobber, but he's on TV even less now. Their Bayley and Alexa feud from last year, I believe, was Alexa being a 13-year-old mean girl character and Bayley crying about it. Mind you, these are two of the best women they have on their roster, in a roster stacked of great female wrestlers. Finn Balor came up on the main roster, beat Roman Reigns in a great match, by the way, and went to SummerSlam to beat Seth Rollins. So he basically beat the two top guys in the company, not named John Cena, to become the inaugural Universal Champion. He got injured during that match with Seth, which was Seth's fault. And since then, he's done practically nothing, being shuffled between off-TV and mid-card feuds that he usually loses. And the Demon has become this annoying, nonsensical thing where the 2 times a year he puts it on, he wins, but then he never puts it on and almost always loses otherwise. It makes him look both weak and like an idiot. Guys like Kevin Owens and Rusev have also had high-tier matches and high-tier feuds for the WWE and Universal Championships, but now Kevin Owens has been mostly a gag character, and Rusev can't win a feud. This is not to mention just horrible writing across the board in almost every single angle and every single storyline, given to mostly really good performers, to the point where Dean Ambrose / Jon Moxley left the company, refused to even look at the amount of money he was given because he was so frustrated with them having him come out in gas masks and get injections because of how filthy the fans are or whatever. He went to another company and is immediately bigger now than he has been in years without having a match yet. All of this stands out even more when almost every other company, including NXT, their own developmental brand, is putting on some of the best wrestling and the most consistent wrestling we've ever seen in the world. The thing is, they have some of the best wrestlers in the world. Just look at their roster, it's the best in the world. But they don't want to do anything special with the Cruiserweight division. They can't have 2 tag team titles being taken seriously at once. They don't know how to write a proper feud aside from like one standout every year. And the WWE style horribly limits and overworks otherwise amazing talent. I don't want the WWE to fail. I want something like WWE, AEW, and New Japan being a 3-pronged success story across the world. Great wrestling week to week from 3 different companies doing 3 different things. But I mean, if WWE doesn't want to succeed, if they want people to stop watching, if they're actively going out of their way to not produce a quality product, then they deserve to fail.